Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here this morning. My journey from home in Gurgaon took about 1.5 hours, and that's why I was stuck outside. My apologies for joining the panel late here. What I'm going to speak about is marketing myopia. That's what I'm going to speak about today. And before I start, first I must thank Sundar. Sundar is the reason why I'm president. Okay, so he invited me onto AIMA Council a few years ago and said, you must participate in this. So thank you, Sundar, for starting me on this AIMA journey, and that's why I'm here as the president of AIMA. That's my phone number. The reason I always give it is because I always believe in feedback. If you have any point of view to make based on what I said, you're more than happy to ping me, and I will definitely give you a reply. If you have a question to ask which you haven't asked or didn't have the opportunity to ask, feel free absolutely to send me any comments you have on SMS, okay? And I promise you that I'll get back. So let's go back. Marketing myopia, where did it start? If you ask students who are sitting somewhere at the back of the room, they will all tell you Theodore Levitt, 1960s, he was the editor of Harvard Business Review. Okay, that's where it started. And that defined Levitt, that defined HBR, and that defined how a business needed to be run. Because what Levitt argued in very simple terms was most companies were focused on the internal needs of the company, and they were just not focused on the needs of the consumer. So for example, he said, people in the railroad business should not define themselves as being in the railroad business as opposed to defining themselves to being in the transportation business. Okay, so if you defined yourself as being in the transportation business, then the choices before you and what you would do to run the business successfully would be very different. He was absolutely right. And somebody else argued about 10, 15 years later that if the buggy whip manufacturer had thought of himself as being in the starter business, then he would have done much more with the ignition and the starter and other things in automobiles rather than just sitting with horses and carriages. Okay, so it's how you define your business, and the definition of the business comes from the needs of the consumer principally. I think that was the fundamental point of marketing myopia. Okay, so that's a bit of the background. So what has changed? And you know, I've been in marketing in this country for a very long time, 2 decades and more. So what has really changed? I believe marketing has changed fundamentally. And we are not recognizing this in many a company, in many a brand. First, most product brands are dead. I would say it's not the era of product brands anymore, it's the era of experience. Every product, the consumers want a certain aura of experience around it. That's the first fundamental shift which has happened in the last 20 years in this country. Second, no longer is place a physical asset. Don't think of place as a retail asset, as my store, as something. A place is something which consumer accesses today. It could be the net, it could be a physical store. What the consumer accesses is far more important than where the physical locality of the place is. Third, we have moved significantly from price to value, and I'll come back to that in one of the points I make about myopia. And fourth, it's no longer about promotion. We have classically run promotion in many a brand in this country to affect behavior. Most advertising affects attitude in order to shape behavior. Here, in promotion, when you run a promotion, whether it's something off or 20% off or a toothbrush free, etc., you're changing behavior. The normal behavior of the consumer is to go and pick up a brand and a pack size. By offering this promotion, you're altering that behavior, and through the use of the brand, you're hoping that the attitude will change. Okay? Promotion has given way dramatically to education now. Okay, so educating is far better way of changing behavior today rather than plain promotion. Okay, these are fundamental changes which I have seen over the last 20 years. Advertising has changed dramatically. I remember when I was as a brand manager, in the late 80s and early 90s, you just had 2 programs on your mind: Hindi feature film and the Chitrahar. If you did those 2, you covered 80% of your target audience, whatever it was, for any category. You didn't need to worry. Okay, today for a program to get 4, 5 rating is a Herculean task. Okay, the fragmentation of media, fragmentation of medium is dramatic. Okay, so we've seen advertising go through absolutely a topsy-turvy journey from being an absolute monopoly kind of a situation to being completely competitive today. Okay, so advertising has changed dramatically. The 4 Ps have changed significantly. So I have for you my set of 10 myopic thoughts that I see businesses and marketeers still practicing. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody practices this, but I see this from time to time, and I read about this from time to time, and I'm trying to give you maybe a list of saying, don't do these things if you want to be successful. Maybe that's the other way of looking at it, rather than looking at it as these are myopic thoughts. My first one is a lot of companies feel they're unbeatable. A lot of brands feel they're unbeatable. There is nothing like this in today's world. There's nothing like this. It is not the big which beat the small. In the past world, the big beat the small consistently. In the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. In the 60s, IBM beat everybody, black and blue. Today, it is not the big which beat the small. It's the fast who beat the slow. So the first thing in your brand and in your company is get your responsiveness up, get your speed up. Kodak's a great example. They continuously define themselves as being in the chemicals business, in the chemicals, photography, etc. business. Some great commercials, some great brand work, etc. But they just didn't see the digital wave coming. Okay? Great patents, they've just sold it off for a few $1 billion. So no company is unbeatable, okay? Irrespective of what you think. Invariably, we ascribe more positive values to our brand, and we ascribe negative values to our competitors. Okay, the true value of a brand, whether positive or negative, is in the minds of the consumers and not in our minds. I think we overstate our importance and understate the importance of competition to consumers. Okay, so no one is unbeatable in today's world. Okay, why is that so? Technology is freely available to people, number one. People are freely available to companies, number two. Okay, finance is freely available to people. Okay, the days of having big hurdles on each of these dimensions is gone. So anybody can be a winner today if somebody has the initiative, drive, and passion. Okay, so nobody is unbeatable. Second, very important point. The consumer is my wife, and all she wants is a limitless credit card. This is how most marketers think when they talk about consumers. Okay, that's not true. Okay, most people think that they know consumers. I tell you, the pace of change of consumers is dramatic today. Okay, if you are not meeting consumers every month, you're becoming archaic in your knowledge of the consumer. You need to meet the consumer every month. Almost you need to ask yourself, do you have the license to deal with consumers in a future world? And that license can only come if you meet consumers. The license to serve consumers, you need to renew it every month. So in all your meetings, I would seriously challenge you. If you're sitting in a meeting, ask a very simple question of the people in the room. How many of you have met a consumer in the last 1 month? And I assure you, less than 10% of the hands will go up. And if people don't meet consumers, you shouldn't be inviting them to the meeting, because they're not representing what the brand should truly be doing. Okay? So this is something I really want you to think about, meeting consumers every month. Everybody talks of being consumer connected, but this truly doesn't happen. Okay? This is the second myopia which I see. Third, okay, consumers have changed significantly. And I said that consumers are changing dramatically. The blue bar, I don't think people in the back will see it. The blue bar is the money the consumer spends from his household income, he or her, on food, beverage, and tobacco. In 1995, the consumer was spending 56%. So if the consumer was earning 100 rupees in 1995, he was spending 56% on food, beverages, and tobacco. In 2015, which is 2 years away, he's expected to spend 34%, 1/3. Okay? The necessities has dropped, the discretionary spending is moving up dramatically. Look at that. Healthcare is going to be very big. Okay? Education and recreation is big. Communication is almost doubling. Transportation is going up. Personal products and services is going up. Household products is going up. Housing and utilities is going up. Apparel is flat. So we are moving into a very different world where the consumer is expressing himself or herself differently as a result of the income jump we've seen thanks to liberalization. Today we have a very new breed of consumer. The old rules don't apply. Okay, so this is how consumers are changing. Second, myopia we still have. And I must say, a lot of people believe in this. Price is the answer. Price is the answer to nothing. You should only compete on price if you're the lowest cost producer. You should never compete on price if you're not the lowest cost producer. Number one. Number two, no price warrior in this country is the market leader in the category. No price warrior in this country is the market leader in the category, not just here, anywhere in the world. Okay, so price or being cheap and cheerful is at best a position available for a decade. It is not a position available for the long term. In the long term, you have to be innovative. In the long term, you have to add value, whether it's a country, whether it's a company, whether it's a brand. Cheap and cheerful is not a long-term position. Okay? So price is not the answer to everything. I have a great example. To the right, you see this car. How many of you know the brand name of that car to the right? Not the yellow one? The other one? No. Okay. Before you... No. Even before Nano started, there was an experiment in Pakistan called the Sitara. This is the car. Okay? Sitara, which is, a kind of a car which is very low priced. Okay, the point I'm trying to make here is people have moved from what I call a sachet mindset, which is all about price, to a sensory mindset, which is saying, is this good for me? Do I look good in it? Does it add value to my personality? Okay, the sensory appeal of almost every single category, from a soap to a shampoo to a car, has multiplied dramatically. That's why you see the multiplicity of colors and choices, etc., in every category that you see. So we are no longer bound by sachet pricing. We have a huge headroom in terms of the sensory appeal we can deliver to consumers. Okay? So price is not the answer. Okay? Differentiation and value is the answer. Third, when in trouble, everybody says, let's do a TV spot. Let's do a new TV spot. This is another myopic thought we have. Okay? I mentioned to you the fragmentation on television. Sure, TV is still the largest cachet, but it doesn't mean that a new TV spot just gets you, the required answer for your brand. So before you do the next TV spot, please seriously think about the metrics and see what's going wrong. Fourth, big one in India. Big in India, okay? There are two countries in the world where the celebrity advertising is huge. One is India, and one is Japan. First, let me cover Japan. In Japan, 60% of advertising is celebrities. About 20% is dogs and cats and other pets, and the other 10% is products. Okay, so that's how advertising is. The bulk of the celebrities in Japan are actually Hollywood celebrities who give their license only for the country of Japan. Because Japan is a very high-value market, okay? And the Hollywood celebrities give it only there. Otherwise, they feel that they're overexposed. Okay, so Japan is one. India is amazing. Almost every category has a list of celebrities, which is longer in many cases than the list of brands, I think. Okay, we have celebrities for everything, and thanks to the boom in television, etc., we have sports celebrities, we have entertainment celebrities, we have pastry celebrities, anybody you can think of. Okay, if you don't use the celebrity well, a celebrity can be a curse on your brand. Okay, you need to use the celebrity well. Okay, and true great celebrities who can really make brands grow come once in a century, like Amitabh Bachchan. Okay, I'm told in the year 2003 or 4, about a decade ago, Amitabh Bachchan advertised 63 brands. 63 brands. And that year, all 63 grew. Okay, has never happened anywhere else in the world. Has never happened with any other actor or any other celebrity in the world. Okay, he's a very unique phenomenon. Okay, but one Amitabh Bachchan does not give us the license to say that our celebrity will work. Okay, so celebrity is not the answer to every marketing or business problem we have. Next, big assumption again. People say digital marketing is niche. Okay, so I've just put on for you, first is television spending, the first big apartment blocks. The second set of skyscrapers is press. After that, you notice digital is more than outdoor, radio, and others put together. Today. And digital is growing at 20, 30, 40%. Digital is no longer niche. This is pure myopia. Digital is not niche anymore. In fact, I would argue for some specific categories, digital is the mainstay. It is not niche. And possibly television is niche for them. Why is this so? Because the fabric of society in terms of technology has changed in the last 10 years. These are Indian stats today. 600 million mobile phones in the hands of consumer, which is 50% of people in this country have a mobile phone in their hand. okay, out of the 1.2 billion population. Okay? The people who don't have it are rural women, young kids, and some rural youth. Okay? Penetration in most urban markets, saturated. 240 million data-enabled handsets, 50 million smartphones, 2 million tablets. Okay? This is the digital revolution which we've seen in India in the last decade. Okay, so digital is no longer niche. And I predict that in the coming days, especially for young people, especially for select categories, digital will be the prime medium with which we'll talk to consumers. So do not think that digital is niche. Okay, that's a myopia we have. Next one, 6. Analysis is for maths PhDs. You know, this is a huge thing. Everybody wants to qualitatively discuss things. Nobody wants to put the hard facts on the table. The hard consumer data. Okay, what is replacement cycle like? What is retention like? In which SEC are we losing share? In which town are we losing share? Where are we gaining share? That hard numbers, you know, that ability to discuss hard numbers and formulate the next set of plans is not something that I'm seeing repeatedly. Okay, so analysis is for everybody in the organization, top to down, from the CEO to the brand manager or the marketing manager. Okay, this will only sharpen your attack, number one, and it will save you a lot of money by not doing the wrong things. Number 7, big question which I get asked, especially from young people in every company, why are we quarterly focused? You know, this is a myopic thing. Okay, everybody thinks that if I forget this quarter, my next quarter will be great. Never true. Okay, I think Jack Welch said this. The long term is a series of short terms. A year is made up of 4 quarters. If you don't deliver this quarter, there is no chance. You're just fooling yourself that you're going to deliver the next quarter because you've written off this quarter. Anybody can do long term. If I'm asked to do long term for Nokia, which is 10 years out, very easy to do it. You know, very easy to do it. If I'm asked to do short term, which is next month, very easy to do that also. Balancing the short term and the long term is what true great marketeers and leaders do. Okay, and that is defined by the purpose of your brand, the purpose of your business. If your purpose of the brand and the business is extremely clear, you don't need to worry if something is quarterly or monthly or half-yearly or yearly. Okay, and that's what I really think. You know, and this is a thing we repeatedly ask, why do we need to deliver a quarterly number? Okay? Number 8, in many people's minds, sponsorship is a one-off exercise. And it's very sad. Sponsorship is a one-off exercise from the person who owns the property, number 1. It's also a one-off exercise from the media which is trying to sell it. And it's also a one-off exercise from the company which wants to do it. True value of sponsorship comes over time. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You just do a sponsorship for 1 year and walk out of it, you're not going to get anything. You'll feel good about it. So if you truly want to sponsor something, my submission to you is have a long-term plan for it. 3, 4 years, how will you build it? How will you shape it? Okay, today in this world, everybody is selling sponsorship. Today they sell it to X company, tomorrow they go to Y company and say, you know, will you pay 10% more? They go and sell it somewhere there. I think everybody in the chain, from the event owner to the company, needs to have a long-term view. Okay, and some of the sponsorships you see on television, etc., you laugh and you wonder, are these guys serious? Is this going to build their brand? And many a time, how many of you are from the media industry here, please? Anyone? Media industry, yeah. In fact, my submission to the media industry, staying with good sponsors increases the value of your event. I can prove it empirically over many events. Changing sponsors like changing shirts hurts the value of your event. Okay, so please think about it. Even if the guy is paying you 100 rupees, if somebody else is paying you 110, if he's a good sponsor, stay with him. You'll build the long-term value of your event. Okay? So sponsorship is a one-off exercise is the other myopic thought I see. And the last one, okay, big one. Everybody wants brands to be youthful. What does youthful mean? Let's ape MTV, let's ape VTV or whatever it is. That's not youthful. Okay, youth is a state of mind. It doesn't mean you need to advertise to the 15-year-old or the 18-year-old. In the way you do things, you have to be youthful. And I think we confuse this repeatedly. And that's why you see this dilemma in brands. Great storytelling is not just one way, which is about having youth. Great storytelling can be about much bigger things. Okay. The fact is, India is a country which will get younger and richer this decade. One of the few countries in the world, okay, in this decade. But that doesn't mean every brand will change its core and start only talking to the youth. You have to evolve. And that's the idea of marketing myopia and what Ted Levitt started with and where I will end. You have to evolve. You have to define rather than just saying, okay, I'm running after a new segment which is available. So in summary, things have changed. First, things have changed from the amount of money being spent on basic essentials, which is about 56% in 1995 to about a third in 2015. Things have changed. The amount of money consumers are spending outside of their essentials is huge. We need to change. We need to change from thinking on the lines of sachet pricing to the sensory and the appeal of the sensory. The dangers and myopias we have today, I've listed 10 of them, tend to be around price, around the consumer, around being unbeatable, around quarterly results, about digital being niche, about sponsorship, about celebrity, and about excessive focus only on the youth. Okay, this is what I see today, and I think a debate like this is of immense value so that we can all freshen up our marketing concepts and take it to the market and attract more consumers to our brand and business. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Sundar, Rekha, etc., for inviting me. It was a pleasure.